Ras
probably
Aswad talks about
engages in some
Rastafari.
social vibes. The person is no good. So we are going to have that conversation. We are going to break all the misconceptions and the myths and the skepticisms about Rastafarianism. So Aswad, Ras Aswad, many thanks for joining me. Good afternoon, and you look fit. You look solid. You look strong. Yeah.
Yes, give thanks and praise.
Great. And I see you with the Jamaican flag and the. Well, I cannot particularly tell which of these countries you owe allegiance to or you come from. I don't know if you're Jamaican or
The two of them, man.
Well, I am both right now,
Yeah.
I was born in Jamaica.
Oh, really?
And I've repatriated here now for 21 years.
Wow.
I've been living in Ghana.
You've been living in
I
Ghana for
haven't
the past
been
21 years.
I haven't been back to Jamaica since. And I'm looking forward.
You haven't been to Jamaica in 21 years?
Oh, my lord.
Wow.
I've been here all that time and I'm looking forward to more and more years in Ghana and the entire African continent. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Wow, interesting. Like I stated in my preamble, there's this misconception about Rastafarianism. Somebody walks on the street, comes across somebody in locks, and or even when you're sitting in the trotro, you're sitting by somebody who is Rasta, the sort of eyes that they look at you with, who's this one too? So, first of all, let me find out from you, what is Rastafarianism? I know it has got the little I know. I know it's more like a religion, yes, and I know
A movement,
it has
man.
got something to do with Ethiopia. I like how the Jamaicans call Ethiopia. Ethiopia, right?
Yeah, man.
Ethiopia, yeah. And then the man himself, the emperor, the king of kings, Haile Selassie. But what is Rastafarianism?
Well, I would just go from the roots of Rastafari. Rastafari started as a liberation movement, a Pan-African movement. It was later that the religious aspect of it came. It was more of a political, militant liberation force at that time. Marcus Garvey had a lot of influence on the movement as it was coming up. And then it gradually grew until there are different factions within Rastafari today. But they all have the same focus that Haile Selassie is a divine king for the whole movement, even though they differ in religious practices, so on and so forth. So I would say in sum total, Rastafari is peace, love and liberation.
Peace, love, and liberation.
Liberation.
Well, do you need to have dreadlocks to be a Rasta man? Because I almost every Rasta man I see, it appears as though it is a prerequisite to becoming, Rastafarian. You need to have the locks. Is it a necessity?
No, it's not a necessity because the founder of Rastafari, which is known as Powell, didn't have dreadlocks, right? The iconic figure of Rastafari, which is Haile Selassie, no dreadlocks, right? The earlier Rastas, they used to call them brother man. They were only having beard and they used to comb. Counters and the mystic revelation of Rastafari, all those elders, none of them had dreadlocks. It was later on in the movement, the influence of the Mama movement in Kenya and so on and so forth, influenced that aspect of it, and then the dreadlocks started coming up within the movement. So I would say no, but there's one thing I have to tell you. When you don't have dreadlocks, you are not going to experience what the Rastaman, the dreadlocks experience.
That is
Wow.
So
it.
that's the difference.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
what is that connection? What is about the dreadlocks and the connection with Rastafarianism that makes it so unique? That even, despite the fact that you may not have dreadlocks and you still can be a Rastaman, why? What sort of spice does it add to Rastafarianism?
Okay, the first thing is that you are identifiable. You cannot hide. Whatever you do out there, whether it is good or bad, you will be identified as a Rastaman that is doing this. Even when you are not even Rasta, but just because you have the dreadlocks. Because now it is so popular all over the world, people identify almost everyone with dreadlocks as associated with Rastafari or is Rastafari, right? So that symbol of the dreadlocks, it has different meaning to different people. The oppressors don't like to see it because they remember the resistance in Kenya You know that the Rastafari took it on as a vow to resist colonialism, so on and so forth. So that's a constant reminder. Then it also defies the false concept of beauty, where they tell our women must process the hair in order to look good, so on and so forth. And the Rasta man come and say fire burn, scissors and comb. See?
Here, button.
Yeah, say fire burn, scissors and comb and perm and all of that. Go natural.
That
And
we
today you
say.
can see dreadlocks women in the ear, all the way down here.
Yeah, man.
Africans. Before you couldn't see that because the scissors and the comb and the perm and all of that destroy all of that. And then you go to the Bible, most of those people in the Bible are dreadlocks, right?
True.
And the man who them called Christ was a Nazarite. See, a Nazarite don't trim, comb, nor shave. See, so the very God that they pray to as Christians is in the image of Rastafari.
Right. Away from that, let's talk about the misconceptions about Rastafarianism. Like I stated, that people who see Rastafarians as people who engage in social vices and all of that. These people are no good and all of that. But I know I've had the privilege of experiencing Rastaman, including yourself, and I see that these are peace-loving people. So, if you can touch on that.
Yeah, I am happy to hear that you are a witness to that. But most people, they witness it just like you, but they are just telling themselves lies. Because when you go in the history of Rastafari, Rastafari don't rob, Rastafari don't steal, Rastafari don't commit murder, Rastafari don't involve in violence against anyone as a religion. Right? If you go from way back and study the history of the movement, it is a religion that has won the support of the world out of nothing but peace and love. So much so that UNESCO declared that the Rastafari movement and reggae music have been such a potential, such a powerful force in the world that influenced the world so strongly that it must be preserved for generations and generations. So it's false concept, right? I remember when I was in my 20s and I won an award to go to Antigua to go and do a project over there. And I got to the airport. Because I had dreadlocks at the time, I was stopped and I was told I cannot enter the country of Antigua unless I cut my locks in the airport. See, I've been through those kind of things and so many others, right? Granted today, dreadlocks now is like a brand. So many multinational corporations are using dreadlocks to promote their products. So it has changed a little bit, but deep down, it's still a force to reckon with, and that's the reason why we call it dread, because it put a certain amount of fear in our Babylon.
Yeah.
Right, straight. Now, talk about change. One of the changes that we are also witnessing here in Ghana, I'm sure you are aware, somewhere last year, one young man who actually gained admission to Achimota Secondary School because he had dreadlocks, he was actually initially denied entry. But hey, the civil society rose and spoke against it. The Rasta community rose and spoke against it. Yourself, you spoke against it. And that